Thank you everyone for joining us for our last segment of the day. We'll be live in Columbus, our state capital here to finish it out. We've had some wonderful educational programs already done by Professor Phil, but today we'll be joining Chef Phil in his kitchen. It's a perfect way to end our day, preparing for dinner. And we'd love for you to be a part of this as well. So we've been thinking about it, and we will try to send you the ingredients and what we'll be preparing starting next week so that you can hopefully be able to join us at home and prepare the meal yourselves. So right now we'll be heading over to Hell's Kitchen with Phil. So
welcome aboard, gang. Today we're going to be making a tagine chicken. It's a classic Moroccan dish, and I may well be pronouncing it wrong because I don't speak Arabic. I do speak Hebrew, but that doesn't have the same letters, so that's as close as I get, but I'm not there. So, first thing we need to do, make sure everything's nice and hot. We're going to have two major components to what we're doing today. We've got rice that lays our bed and gives us a nice starch, and then we've got chicken and fruit that we're going to cook. So rice is going to take the longest to make. While this would traditionally be couscous, you're probably going to make rice more often, so let's talk about that and how we do that one. So in my pot back here, I've already got 2 cups of water in there. It's starting to heat up. And I'm going to grab a cup of rice. How much rice to water and how long it takes is really dependent on your cooking vessel and to some degree whether you're using gas or electric, but not that much. It's a thing you've got to experiment with. There aren't any real good answers on that. But usually about 20 minutes of cooking time after it comes to a boil. So we dump that in the hot water and we add salt. I do not have enough salt in that. I'm going to cover that, which you normally wouldn't do, but I want to speed up this heating process a little bit. So the next thing we got to do is start cutting everything up for our tagine. First thing we're going to need is our garlic. The recipe says 4 cloves, but like so many things, measure garlic with your heart. I went with 6. So 1 clove of garlic, this tiny little thing here. To peel garlic and to chop it up, you get your knife, you place it flat, make sure the blade is away from you and pointed kind of down like this. Because you're just going to take the heel of your hand, smack it right there. And then you rub your garlic in your hands, all the little garlic paper comes off, and you just set it on your cutting board. All right, basic knife work. If you have small hands, grab the knife by the handle, kind of like you're shaking hands. If you have large hands, like I tend to do, you grab it right by the blade, 3 fingers back on the handle, and grab that blade. That will give you the best control you can possibly have. So lay your garlic clove lengthwise, and you want to make a claw with your hands. So these fingers come up, and you want your knuckles right up against the blade. That way if you, well, not right next to them, when it gets close, they will hit your knuckles when you're chopping down, and they won't cut your finger. Your thumb stays back behind whatever you're cutting. That's what you push with, is the edge of your thumb. You do that there. Remember, the thumb pushes the food. You do not move the knife from side to side. It doesn't go like this. It just goes up and down. Or back and forth if you're slicing. All right. So there we've got our garlic in one direction. Slide it up. Again, make your claw. And chopping in the other direction, you got minced garlic. Now I will sweep it with my knife because I'm used to this knife. I know where it goes. That's not always the safest thing. If you're not very comfortable with your knife, there are other options to pick up your food off of the cutting board. I'll let you know what those are next time we chop something. As soon as you use a knife, you need to clean that knife off. That's how you keep it from rusting. You take care of your equipment, it takes care of you. Wash it and dry it. All right. Our rice water has come to a boil, so we move that down to a simmer heat, let out just a bit of steam. This is normally when you would first put the cover on, and then we're going to wait on this low simmering heat for about 20 minutes. Alexa, 20 minutes. Perfect. All right. Now we need an onion. I've already cut this onion in half. The important thing is that the root end stays intact. You don't ever touch that. You can slice through it, but you don't ever chop it off. You do take the other end and just whack that off. And grab your onion's top layer and peel it back. I'm really bad at that. Once you do that, this gives you a nice handle, and you can keep your fingers away from the onion while you're chopping it. Move your onion paper away, and then the knife goes straight back towards the rear of the onion. It's really awkward to do in this direction. You just want to make nice, long cuts all the way to the back. Again, don't cut through that root, but just right up to it. I've basically made a fan with this onion so far. And now I'm going to take the knife and moving towards myself, which is not generally a good idea, but go slow, be careful. You don't have to worry about speed with a knife. Worry about being careful and not cutting yourself. So now we've cut back through towards the root. And now we'll take the knife and we just slice and it all comes apart. That way we can get pretty much the entire onion. Like that, throw it in your compost pile or into your new garden because you're going to make some onions. Grow, I guess. Oop, extra piece of onion. Slide all the excess off your knife. And if you're not comfortable with using the knife, use anything flat. I use a bench scraper most of the time to pick things up if I'm not using the knife. Pick that up and that slides right in there. And our next step, of course, is to wash our knife. Always wash your knife as soon as you use it. All right. Garlic and onion are both what we call aromatics. They give a lot of flavor and make things smell nice. So we add a little oil to our fairly hot pan. You don't want it too terribly hot. And about half of one onion gets dumped in here. Many people will put onion and garlic in at the same time. The garlic cooks a lot faster and you'll burn it if you do that. to get your onions in there first. Start getting them so you can kind of see through them. Next thing is we need to cut up our chicken. I've got a full chicken breast with the rib attached. It's tough to get this all in the same size, and that's what you want, so everything cooks evenly. And to get it in the same size, you want to make this as square as you can. So you lay it down, and you got this, quite a bit of fat on that. Turn off the fat. Chicken fat doesn't do you any good, unless you're making schmaltz. So you got the pointy end here. We're just going to lop that right off. Set it over to the side. And then this weird irregular shape. Slice that right off. There's usually quite a bit of fat on there. That over. And that's about square. So again, we use our claw. Nice long strips going the long way. We want them about as wide as your thumb. And of course, the entire length of the chicken. All right. Then you find all the pieces that are about the same length. Gather them all together, and again with your claw, you just come through and slice them, again about as long as your thumb, so we get big cubes. I guess the end of your thumb, more than your whole thumb. And chicken's slippery, so go slow, be careful, don't cut yourself. Then you take that triangle end and the weird section, and you just cut those so they look about the same. All right. Scoop up all our chicken, and we'll put it in the chicken pot. As always, clean your knife, but you just put chicken on this. You don't want to spread any disease or germs, so we're going to clean our cutting board as well. Important thing when you're cleaning is to use hot, soapy water. That gets through all the fats that you use, and we'll get rid of pretty much every bacteria you could possibly put on this thing. A quick scrub. This doesn't need to be super dry, but we'll dry it off so we don't slip all over the place. The other important thing is my hands have touched this. So when I'm washing these, I need to wash my hands. And when I'm done washing these, I'm going to wash my hands again. Lots of soap. Put on that soap. And a quick dry. I don't care if my hands are wet. I'm going to spin my onions a bit and add the garlic now. Remember, we've still got about half an onion that we haven't used yet. Well, traditionally, tagine chicken is made with prunes and I can't remember the other food. Golden raisins. I don't have any of those, so any stone fruit will do. I'm going with dried cherries and dried apricots. If you find a fruit that has a big pit in it, cherries, apricots, plums, which become prunes, all those fall kind of fruits, apricots right there, peaches. If you dry those, then they will work well with this. They also work really well with anything pork. But we don't want these whole, and you've seen I've already chopped up some others, and these just need a coarse chop. You just kind of whack it. But again, use that claw, because when you're whacking at them, you don't want to chop off your fingers. Few chops through, and we will add that. All right. The onions and the garlic are coming along. So now we need to think about seasoning. A lot of people will put their seasoning directly on their meat or whatever that is. The problem with most spices, and a lot of herbs, but almost every spice, is that you really only get the flavor when they're in fat. So we've got this oil heated up in the pot. If we put our spices directly in that, it gives us a big bloom of flavor so that we'll actually taste what we're putting in it. And we don't have to put a ton of spices onto our chicken and make it taste grainy in our mouths. So we need a little turmeric. You just need a touch of this. We're just doing it for color. Just a little tap. You always want to tap into your hand rather than right into the bowl. That way when you inevitably smack it way too hard and throw it all over the place, you got this under control. We need cumin. We're going about 1.5 teaspoons for cumin. A 1.5 teaspoons. If you cup your hand just a little bit, it fills the center of your palm. It doesn't go way to the side. Or do the smart thing and actually measure it. I don't do the smart thing when I cook. Measure with your heart. Throw that in there. Oop, and then we need about a 1/2 teaspoon of paprika. What I would call a generous pinch. You'll probably want a sweet paprika here rather than a hot one, but you know, if you like a bit of spice, paprika doesn't have a ton of spice even when it's hot. This 1/2 teaspoon is about the size of your thumbnail. That's how you can figure that out. Or again, use a measuring spoon. And then because we're doing a short, quick tagine, you would put in whatever grill seasoning you like. I'm going with Czardust. One of the reasons, other than I quite like it, one of the reasons is because tagine also has a very little bit of cinnamon in it, and this already has that in it, so I can skip that. And it depends on how much you put into this, as how much flavor of this you want in your tagine. How much do you want it to taste like that grill seasoning that you picked? If you don't have a favorite grill seasoning, just do salt and pepper and rely on the cumin and the coriander to do all the work. I'm going with about 1.5 teaspoons, about as much of the cumin that we used earlier. And dump that in. We also need 1/2 teaspoon of coriander, which in this case is everything in my bottle. Again, about the size of your thumbnail in the center of your hand. So dump that in. Now we've got these dried spices sitting in here. We're going to spin them around so they get in the oil. I'm going to kick up the heat to medium high. If you're on a 10 scale on your stove, I would give this about a 6. Stir that up so your garlic and your onions are well brown. Slap it on the heat, and now we're going to put our chicken in. We want a fairly flat, even layer. Take it in. If you can not touch it with your hands, that's a lot better because then you don't have to wash your hands. If you do touch it with your hands, wash them hands. All right, so now we have everything flat on here. That's the way we're going to do it. I'm going to spin these so they get covered in the spice, but then I'm going to put them just on this flat side again. All we're doing with this point with the chicken is to give it a brown outside. The reason we want that is because that browning is the sugars, and there's sugar in pretty much everything, or in everything. Those sugars are going to crystallize and burn a little bit, essentially, and that's what gives food its really good flavor. That's its crunch. That's what gives you a good mouthfeel. And while that's doing that, the fact that I'm using apricots and cherries is going to make this a little sweet for me, as well as the cinnamon. So I need to counteract that some way. Most of the time, I would just throw in some vinegar. In this case, I'm going to do a lemon, because that's going to make it brighter and pop a lot more. And I like lemon. So I take my box grater on the tiniest little holes, I grab my lemon, and I just sweep it on there. I keep all my fingers and my thumb well back. Once you see any bit of white on that lemon, you got to turn it around. You don't want any of the white bit of the lemon, just the yellow. There we go. We don't need a ton of this. Kind of slide it off of there. Sprinkle it on. I'll take my bench scraper again to get this up. I just put the lemon right in there. So it's been about a minute or two with this chicken. That should be good and brown on one side because it's quite small. I'm starting to look that way. We got that nice golden color that we look for. So we want to flip everything over. If it's not perfect, it doesn't matter. Much like painting, cooking is about a happy accident. Some of them aren't exactly the same as all the others, and how much they brown and how crispy they get. That just changes how the texture is from bite to bite, so that's exciting. Same reason you don't want flat pizza rolls. You just kind of pile them, so they're all cooked differently. All right. Those are going to go for about another minute. While we do that, we're going to open up this lemon because we're going to want a little more liquid in here than we already have. So we're going to use the lemon juice for that. You could use chicken stock if you don't want this particularly tart flavor in here. The way to get the juice out of the lemon is either put it in the microwave for about 30 seconds or just roll it really hard so you break all the cells in there and all the membranes that you see when you slice open a lemon. If you break that up, then your juice comes out. And that's nice. I can feel how soft that is. You squeeze it, it goes all over the plate. We'll set that aside for right now until we're ready for this one. Generally, when you're browning, it doesn't take as long on the second side because it's already heated through. Make sure you check it, see how you're doing. Oh, they're going to need just a bit longer. I need to get that one over. That doesn't look good. Okay. There are 5 points for plating when you cook. And I tend to like onion flavors, so I'm going to take some scallions here, green onions, so we can throw them on. I like to whack off the ends just to make it even. Also, they're handy in the compost. And because it does help with the flavor a bit, because the way things are shaped affects how they sit on your tongue. But mostly, just for the visual, instead of chopping straight, I'm going to do what's called a bias cut, which means I go diagonally. These really long, thin strips. You see it a lot in Chinese restaurants. That's how they do a lot of vegetables. So I just bundle these up. Again, I use my claw so I don't cut myself. I just slice through. Alexa, cancel. That means our rice is done. Or should be. But if you don't leave it forever, the rice can just sit and keep working. Oh yeah, that's good rice. We'll go ahead and kill the heat, but we'll leave the cover on so the steam stays in there and our rice doesn't dry out while we're finishing this up. All right, we're going to take our dried fruits. We're going to dump those into the pot. And stir those through. Now, it doesn't really matter if you cook the fruit like it does for meat. Meat you want to cook through. You've got to make sure it reaches a certain temperature because otherwise it might have disease. Not so terribly true for fruit, but we do want it to cook so it'll soften up and feel nicer when we eat it. Everything's stirred in there. We're going to go ahead and put a lid on this. And then we're going to open up this lemon here so we can get some of the juice out. You do not need to use your giant chef's knife for this. I'm using a sparrow beak paring knife, but any small knife will work. And it is leaking juice all over me because I intended it to. So, again, how you cut a lemon also matters for how much juice you can get out of it. So we've cut the ends off. Looks like a little barrel. And then we're going to go straight into the middle and out to the side so that we can open that up. Take off our lid for a minute and squeeze those lemons in. If you are worried about lemon seeds, then you can put them into a strain. Do this through a strainer first and into a bowl and then dump it so you don't get lemon seeds in. I, however, do not care. So I just squeeze directly into my pan. And again, into your compost. If you're using Meyer lemons, the tiny little ones, you can go ahead and keep those seeds because they will grow if you plant them. And if you plant them inside, you get a nice little dwarf lemon tree. You can put them in the corner someplace. Back on with our lid, and this is only going to need a few minutes. We've got these two knives that we've just used. We're going to go ahead and clean those really. Oh, I forgot this other half of the onion. It should have gone in before the lemon, but it doesn't really matter. That's about time more than anything else. And a slightly underdone onion just gives you a nice bit of crunch. I use a yellow onion in this, which is traditional, but it doesn't matter. I quite like a red onion, so I would put that with most anything. It works really well with this. So we clean our knives, because we always do that. Cleaning your knives not only keeps you healthy, but it keeps your knife sharp. And the sharper your knife is, the less likely you are to cut yourself. And as I have before sliced off the end of my thumb in the kitchen, I tend to worry a lot about cutting myself. Dry our knives, put them away, and roll up our knife bag. We can get that out of the way. Again, our rice is done, so we can start plating with that. Color is really important when you cook. Not just because you want to look at things and to make sure they're the right color to know that they are done, but the way we see things affects the way we taste things. So you want something that catches the eye. So with a dish like this, with the red from the cherries and these green scallions, and the bright orange of the apricots, we want a nice plain plate. Just got a border around this one. Makes it simple. Often you'll fluff rice with a fork. You can fluff it with anything. You got a nice helping of rice. Put it on about half the plate. Up there. When we take our scallions, we scatter them over. You don't want to look like you spent too much time on it. So many people get excited and you say, oh no, it was nothing. And this seems about done, but I do not know until I take the temperature of the chicken and make sure I'm not going to kill everybody. Right to the thickest part in the center, and we are well done. Literally well done, and that we are past the point of done. And if you did that, it would be well done like this. Give it a stir so everything's mixed up. Put it down. With a spoon, and then right next to your rice, lay it down. And with not a bunch, but just a few of the really green parts of the scallion, throw them on this side. If you want to be really fancy, you could take some lemon peel and put that on there too. Can we see that? So just like this, this is our plating. The other question is, how does it eat? Grab your fork. our rice is good and tender because we left it and did not touch it. You just set it there on a low heat for about 20 minutes, and it's good. Let's get through this. And do this. I want to try and get a bit of everything in the bun. So an apricot, a cherry, and a piece of chicken. See how that is? Oh, it just falls apart in the mouth. And it's really hot because I just took it out of the frying pan. Oh, that's quite hot. All right, I use an electric stove because I don't have a choice. So I'm going to move this off of the burner so it can cool down a bit. Oh, wait, there we are. Oh, I was looking on what's there. But no questions in that. Has anybody any questions? Feel free to chat this through. Okay, I think we're good. Over to you, Aaron.
Thank you, Chef Bill. That was fantastic. Love your passion. I think you got us all ready for dinner. I agree myself watching you. Anyone else? What's everyone having for dinner? Anything good? I think we're having steak salads over here. What about you, Caitlin? Put it in the, oh, there you go.
Hey, Phil, make fish next time.
Next week, we're going to make cottage pie.
Well, I didn't kill the fish, I promise.
But maybe in 2 weeks. If you've killed any Aaron's fish by then, we can try one of those.
Yeah, that's happened. A couple of times. Fantastic. Kels, what'd you think? You liked it? It's good? How'd you?
Looks pretty good.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. This is really good, Aaron.
Love it. What are you doing for dinner tonight, Kels? I think we lost her, but listen, this was a lot of fun. We're going to, again, continue it next week. We're going to try to send those ingredients out to you ahead of time, so hopefully we can. Oh, there you go, Kels. You're back. I hear you.
Say peanut butter saute.
Peanut butter saute with rice, and then peanut butter, and I'm gonna make
And broccoli
too.
That sounds fantastic.
I'm gonna make a pie for everybody, for
Okay.
your customer,
and cookies.
and then chocolate peanut butter.
Say thanks, Aaron. We'll tune in next week.
Until next
You
week.
win, Kels.
Bye all.
Take care,
Bye,
Kels.
guys.
Bye, Kels. All right, so it's been a lot of fun. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Have a great night.